All right, so I'm going to show you how to make homemade kombucha. Okay, and that way it's going to be cheaper overall, and it's going to be a little bit healthier for you, and you can control the flavor. Okay, and how much fermentation you want. Kombucha doesn't have a lot of alcohol. I believe you don't have to be 21 to buy it because it's almost an immeasurable amount of alcohol, and that's just through the simple fermentation process. Let me move this so you guys can actually see what I'm doing. Okay, so I've already started it just to make it a little bit easier for you guys, and it's, you don't have to see every step, but this is a container that I washed out really well. This is actually a Trader Joe's Power Green 33.8 fluid ounce container, 1 quart plus 1.8 fluid ounces. That's what it's, but it's not Power Green that's in there. So what I have in here right now is I have 3 whole pieces of turmeric, just chopped up. You don't need to peel it because the actual skin helps the fermentation process. Make sure you get organic because a lot of the things you get in the store, anything from potatoes to pineapples to turmeric, ginger, things like that, that you get at big chain commercial, grocery stores are actually irradiated so that they will not grow. And if you were to take, like, say, ginger from like a Publix or a Piggly Wiggly or whatever your local chain is and try to plant it, it's not going to work. It's already been irradiated. It can't reproduce. Now, there's ways around that. It doesn't always work, but it's worth a shot. Is you take, for instance, turmeric, whole turmeric, and or whole ginger, and you soak it in water for 2 days. A lot of people say 1 day, and then they don't have a lot of luck. You use 2 days, let it soak, and it will pull a lot of that out. Like, it's either irradiated or has a growth inhibitor. If it's irradiated, well, you're out of luck. But if it just has a growth inhibitor, most of that will pull away and pull out. And then you should be able to plant it. And when you plant ginger and turmeric, you plant it shallow, okay? First of all, make sure it has eyes on it. I believe there's another name for it, but I just call them eyes, like in potatoes. Like, for instance, I don't know if these would actually... So, right here, you see these knobs here? Those are eyes. So it has the potential for growth, because that's where the leaves and the stems were cut off during harvesting. So, or I should say, actually, the roots were cut off during harvesting. They do have little hair roots. So what I have in here is spring water. Do not use it don't use, what do you call that? Don't use your sink water, for God's sakes. Don't use, what do they call it? Wow, having a major brain fart here. What do they call it? Anyways, just use spring water. So I have spring water in here, some chopped up, about a handful of chopped up turmeric. Okay, the green is coming from something I already put away. I believe. This is from Trader Joe's, but you can get it off of Amazon, Walmart, Publix. But get an organic one, a good one. This is called Good Greens from Trader Joe's. It has pineapple, apple, spirulina, and chlorella in it. So it's a full serving of fruits and vegetables, blah, blah, blah. So, what about, it says a tablespoon for 6 ounces of water. For this, because it's not the main flavor, but it does have the nutrients, I only put in 2 scoops. So with that, I also have in some, a little bit of ginger in there, raw ginger. Unfortunately, I thought I had lemons, and I don't. It adds a nice flavor. So what I'm gonna do is cut up an apple, just a couple slices, nothing. Now, if you don't want to do that, if you want to just juice these things, apples with all the ingredients, you can do that too. But you need that sugar, the sugar's in there for the fermentation. Now, what is added to them is also known as a starter or a mother, okay? There's a couple ways you can do this. you can either take, you can buy a mother on Amazon. It's not a big deal. Or you can create your own. Now, on the bottom of this red wine vinegar that I'm fermenting right now are homegrown mothers. They're little layers that form. And you literally pull one out, rinse it off a little bit to get the red wine taste out of it, throw it right in there. Or if you get some organic, unfiltered, raw apple cider vinegar. It already has mother on the bottom, okay? In its smallest form, it'll turn into that as time goes on. And this is a apple cider vinegar that I made from scratch. So I started the mother. How I started the mother in this was literally just when I made this, I literally went out and bought some organic, unfiltered, raw apple cider vinegar. I can't remember the brand, but it's the most recommended brand. And I poured some of this in there. I took some of the mother that was on the bottom, put it in here. It grew what you saw in that red wine vinegar, okay? Which begins to turn the sugars into alcohol and also create probiotics. So, very easy to do. It's all about time. You know, it takes a couple of weeks. You'll see the mother start to form. And once you have a mother that basically takes up the diameter or circumference, I guess, of the jar, let it go about another week. It needs time to convert. Now, I put a little kosher salt in here. Just a little, maybe a teaspoon. And again, that's to assist with fermentation and also kills bacteria, bad bacteria. And then you can add apple, pineapple. Again, that's adding more sugar, so that's going to make it. But understand, you're going to need to burp this, or just put the lid on loosely, or use a burping jar. My fermented ginger video, I used a burping jar, and I believe I have another one. I could pour this in there, but it's not a deal. You do not have to refrigerate this right now. In fact, the cold can actually stop the fermentation process, or drastically slow it down. So just leave it out, you know, and just, you know, give this a few weeks. Okay, you already have. If you don't have the mother and you just do what I said with the apple cider vinegar, you'll still get it. Just take longer. That's all. It's not a huge deal. You can pretty much use anything in here. Like I said, I've got apple juice and spring water. And I added the greens, and then added the fruits and the ginger and the turmeric. At this point, that's all you have to do. This takes about 10 minutes to make. This is a good sized container. I wouldn't make a lot in advance because eventually kombucha does go bad. And I've never gotten sick off of it, but I'm not also I don't want to find out. So, be hugging the porcelain god. So this is it. Like I said, I'm just going to leave the lid on, literally just sitting there. So that way, as it ferments and creates gas, just bloop, 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 bloop. That's all it's going to do. Simple. And it's enough that it should keep the majority of oxygen out of this. Now, if you don't know, kombucha it's a powerhouse of food or liquid, but it's good for your entire body, your brain, your digestive tract, you know, your gastrointestinal system, your nerves, everything, inflammation, good for your joints, bones, muscles. It's really great, even known to shrink the prostate. So, and at almost 52 years old, that becomes important. When you're 20s and 30s, you could give two shits. In the 40s, you go, yeah. And then you get to your 50s, it goes, shit. So, I don't have that problem yet, but now it's where I like really trying not to. I've had my first colonoscopy. I'm glad I was asleep. That's all I can say. And the doctor didn't even buy me a drink. It was horrifying. But anyways, if you want to add some honey in here too, you can. Again, use raw, unfiltered honey. Okay? Unprocessed honey. In fact, you can even put honeycomb in there if you want. Not the cereal. Actual honeycomb. And it adds a pretty unique flavor. It's actually quite good. In fact, if you wanted to use that and you if you watched my recipe for making mead at home, you could actually add honeycomb into that too. So, and it will give it another layer and level of flavor. So, because you don't want to make a kombucha that tastes like crap. You really don't, because then you don't want to drink it. Okay? But you want to make it so good that you're drinking it like, it's going out of style. So, really, this should last you a couple of weeks of drinking. You don't need a lot every day. I see people that chug big old things. The problem with that is your body doesn't have time to process all that. As it's going through the digestive system, it's absorbing from the moment you drink it down through your esophagus into your small intestine, into the large intestine, and then you pee it out. So it can only absorb so much in a certain amount of time. If you were to drink this whole thing, you would be peeing out probably 3/4 of it. So all you need is, during the day, take a couple sips here and there. Like I said, this should last you a couple weeks for one person. 2 people, maybe a week. But anyways, so this is done. Again, play with the flavors, play with the fruits that you put in there. If you want to put greens in there, I would recommend it, only because it's just that much better for you. But put enough sweet, organic fruits in there to kind of mask the greens flavor. Okay, and I speak from experience on that, guys and girls. So give this a shot. It's super, super simple. Once it's done fermenting, after a couple weeks, stick it in the fridge. At that point, all the probiotics are there. The fermentation is done. In fact, putting it in the fridge will stop the fermentation. So it'll already be fermented. It's not going to kill the fermentation. It happened outside the fridge. And you can sip on it, for 3 weeks after that, I would say. After that, I get a little bit leery. So at that point, it was going to turn into, kind of like skunk beer, it's going to turn into skunk kombucha. So enjoy.